The day after Alabama's Rose Bowl defeat at the hands of the University of Michigan, it is second watch on the YouTube and podcast homes for BamaOnLine.com. A little different approach this time as we wrap up the 2023 season. We're going to go live with second watch. Yeah, I know. A little bit worried about that as we work through some of the more critical plays from Monday's game out in Pasadena. No rants, no choreographed buffoonery, just what happened, why it may have happened, and why it proved important that these things did happen in Alabama's 27-20 loss to the Wolverines. All things considered, still a very positive season for Nick Saban's latest team at the Capstone, SEC champions one more time, an eighth college football playoff appearance in 10 years of the 4-team format. Very impressive to say the least, and a lot of things too. When you look ahead to the future to build upon, going to have some important departures as well. Dallas Turner pretty much let you know post game on Monday, the expected. He's going to move on to the National Football League. You're going to have some other guys like J.C. Latham, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Terrion Arnold, and also Chris Braswell among them that are going to have to make some NFL choices. And the transfer portal is going to continue to whir both ways. Alabama is going to continue to try to cherry pick in terms of needs for 2024, I think. And then you're going to see some departures from this team, guys who have opportunities, let's be honest, to go elsewhere and start at a variety of positions across this football team. But on Monday, it was all about the college football playoff semifinals. Alabama and Michigan kicking things off to get things going in the doubleheader. How about that nightcap? Did you stay up for that too? Wow, that was something else, wasn't it? You had Washington in New Orleans taking out Texas in a wild finish. Looked like Texas was going to snatch that one from the Huskies, but give DeBoer's team a lot of credit out there in Seattle. Going to play for the national championship against Michigan. Not the greatest of news for the Houston ticket man. He'll still do okay, but if you had Texas and Houston against either Michigan or Alabama, you're talking about perhaps a private island somewhere. If you're the ticket broker types there in that Houston area. But let's get into Monday's game, and we'll get things started here. Michigan with the football to open the game. Alabama won the coin toss, elected to defer to the second half, a move that looked pretty good as things would have it. But a couple of things we had answered for us on this opening snap, because you've got Michigan really, I guess, though, more so in, I guess this is 12 personnel, but you wondered how Alabama defensively would go about approaching this Michigan offense, which is so tight end centric and will certainly utilize two tight ends a great deal. And we had talked about it, that Ohio State, Penn State, Iowa, they had been base oriented in their defensive approaches to this team. Alabama comes out, though, in the big nickel. Something else you wondered about as we roll it here, J.J. McCarthy for Michigan, the quarterback. Would that month do him some good? He was dealing with that lower extremity injury over the final month or so of the regular season. I think we find out very early that mobility is going to be a part of his game plan for this Alabama defense. And he rolls to his right, tries to give Alabama a cookie right here. Looks like a first play interception for the true freshman, Caleb Downs there. Now, they go to replay, and I understand that Downs had to reestablish position in the field of play, but I thought he came close, very close, if not actually pulling it off. They went to the replay. It was ruled that he was out of bounds here with the left foot. Watch this. Now, is that heel up? It's kind of hard to tell. Looks like he may have kept it up, but it was ruled an incompletion that Downs was actually off the field of play and didn't get reestablished inside the green. Watch it one more time here. I know from this angle, this is probably where that decision came from on the overturn, but is there really enough there? I guess so. I don't see any dirt. I don't see any white dirt coming up there from his heel, but it's taken away. So Alabama now still on the field defensively. Dime look for the Crimson Tide here on 3rd and 8 for Michigan. Trey Amos in there at the corner to the field here. And no surprise, McCarthy's going to look to one of these tight ends. There's Barner hooking it up. He's short of the sticks, though. And with Terrion Arnold in the star position in the dime, that's an easy pass breakup for number 3. It's a 3 and out for the Alabama defense to get off the field to open the game. So Alabama comes out here on offense in 11 personnel. A lot of Kendrick Law in this game because of how they can use him. This is 11 personnel, but you get the feeling with Kendrick, sometimes it feels more like 12. Maybe if Alabama lines him up in the backfield, even some 21. But here he comes in motion. Jalen going to take a shotgun snap, and Alabama wants to throw the football early. Unfortunately for Jalen Milroe, you've got a breakdown right there between your left guard and your left tackle. And by all accounts, in the post game, a rough week, a rough preparation for Caden Proctor dealing with a lower extremity injury. And when something like this happens, especially early in the game, a couple things come to mind. Is a defense showing you something different than what you had seen from them on tape? This doesn't seem all that exotic. And then also, if you're dealing with an injured player giving it a go, what was his practice time like? How many reps did he really get in the lead up to this game? And there were more practices than just the week in Los Angeles, but still, that's a big part of things. And so you get a free runner here on Jalen, really doesn't have time to do much of anything there. And that's going to be a sack. You'll see it one more time here. Looks like he and Booker have this guy accounted for. You see Oots kind of check Sanistril. He's coming from that edge spot off the left of the Alabama offense, going to try to hook it up, cross it underneath with Oots. But even in a hot situation, not enough time right here for Jalen to do much, and he takes the sack there early in the football game. One more time here, just a free runner, and you're not going to do much there with that. So Alabama going to punt here. James Burnip just absolutely fantastic on Monday in this game. Here you see a boot, really probably his worst punt of the game that turned out to be maybe his best punt, because you got a muff right here on the run. And watch Kendrick Law, what he does to 82, the return guy. I can tell you one guy from Michigan who isn't going to recover this, 82, because Kendrick Law cleans his clock. And that frees the way for Q Robinson and some others. You see Sean Murphy, you see CJ Dupree, you see Emmanuel Henderson trying to make a play here on the run, and the ball is on the ground. Watch Kendrick right here. No, you're not getting it. But Kendrick takes care of business so Q Robinson can come up with the recovery. Alabama, after a very uneventful opening series on offense, comes out in a pistol formation, going to get behind the right side of this offensive line here. This is a good first down run. CJ Dupree doing some good stuff there off that right side as well. And it's a productive 6 yards for Jace McClellan, who you talk about guys who benefited obviously from the time off, no doubt about it. Jace, with that foot injury, looked great throughout this game against Michigan. So now you've got a 1st and 10 on the outer red zone here. Here is a low snap. You know, I looked at it post game. Alabama was credited with 5 fumbles, and pretty much all of them were on plays just like this. This went in the book as a fumbled snap for Alabama. So Jalen takes it off the turf, and you block it well enough off this right side once again that you're able to still get it to Jace, and he's able to go untouched into the second level. And look at this move on Sanistril. Very subtle, but leaves Sanistril in his dust, and Jace with some burst here, feeling good into the end zone. 7-0 Alabama. You'll see it one more time here. Low snap. Jalen gathers it. Here comes kind of an ISO play with Oots entering there from almost a fullback position, and the right side with Jaden Roberts and Oots helping out. Seth McLaughlin. Here you see J.C. Latham at the tackle position taking care of business right here. Also CJ Dupree out here on the edge. And once Jace gets, you'll see, once he gets right here, see ya. That little head nod gets him to the corner, and that's a touchdown for Alabama and a 7-0 lead. Michigan turns around, and this is the way Michigan was going to have to get Blake Corum in space because that's not his skill set. He is very much between the tackles, as we'll come to see later in this game. But you go strong to the right, you bring the H across, and this is kind of a pin and pull concept because you bring down this wide receiver right here to crack. And now you overlay with that H, who is like a puller effectively. And this is nice design from Michigan. And this is well executed from Michigan. And Jalen Key is in cleanup mode here to try to limit this thing to somewhat of a reasonable pickup for Blake Corum there out on the edge. There you see Jalen cleaning things up. So now Michigan in a 2nd and 8 from the Alabama 33, a little bit later in the possession. Couple of things happen here. You've got Justin Aboigbe in the pass rush. Michigan pulls the right guard around, picks up Aboigbe. Justin getting some pressure, but he loses leverage there. And again, this is where McCarthy's improved mobility showed up in the game. Because I think a month ago, about right here, he's pulling up and trying to throw the football. But now he's able to get to the edge. And you had this back covered initially by Deontay Lawson. Unfortunately for Deontay, as you'll see here, you see Deontay in good shape right now in the flat out here to the left. But as the back cuts it up on the extended play, down goes Deontay Lawson. There was some footing issues, it seemed like, throughout this game, especially for Alabama. And this is a well-thrown ball by McCarthy, by the way, on the move to his left. That's pretty well perfect. So now Michigan in a 2nd and 4, and you motion in one of those tight ends into a bunch look here to the field. And this is kind of like a super mesh, I'll call it, because these 3 guys at the top of the formation right here, picket fence it down through here, moving to their right. This trio, you'll see them all. See them all go down there? And when they do, Corum releases into the middle from the right of McCarthy. And now you got some serious conflict going on. See Deontay, he's kind of looking to see what's going on in here. And he's also thinking about this crosser. 6 is coming behind Corum. Well, when everybody comes down here, see, you're looking inside here at this guy, but you got 2 guys here. And this is your leverage guy, I got to think, because Deontay isn't going to get over there in this situation. And so it's an easy throw and catch to Corum. Really had 2 guys there that you could have chose from. And Alabama loses leverage, and Corum finds the end zone to give the Wolverines a tie game at 7-7. Here you'll see it again. Watch the 3 guys come down. And you mesh it with Corum across, 6 across. McCarthy with plenty of time, and it's an easy throw and catch, and no one in the neighborhood of Blake Corum. And that's a play, by the way, or at least something similar in terms of concept that we'll come back to late in regulation time. I know you can't wait for that, right? So Alabama comes back out in a 7-7 game. This is once again 11 personnel. Looks like that is Dupree or Oots off the ball here to the left. Jalen wants to throw it one more time. He's getting pressure, steps up wisely. Looks like he's going to be decisive on the run here, but gets to about 4 or 5 yards from the sticks and maybe tries to do a little too much. Ends up tackling himself essentially there. Michigan playing the stick, so who knows if he could have made it to the line to gain, but right there, he's not going to make it. And Michigan's got the football back following a Burnip punt here early in the second quarter. 3rd and 6. McCarthy wants to throw to the corner. Here's Trey Amos one more time. Guy has played some great football when called upon. He's going to take away the sticks there, and good defense from Trey Amos. So Alabama able to get off the field there. Again, Alabama just offensively in the first half, not able to sustain much of anything at all. Pretty much half of its offense came on that short field touchdown drive following the Michigan muff of the punt. And so Michigan with the football once again here with a 1st and 10 from its own 41. And this was a hell of a catch by J.J. McCarthy. Maybe the catch of the game. And again, an illustration of what a guy who benefited from a month off got from that. Because does he make this catch if he's feeling the way he was apparently at the end of the regular season? Athletic play by JJ McCarthy, and you're still in good shape with Dallas Turner right there in pursuit. You're not fooled, and it's a heck of a catch because it's a backwards pass. And so if this thing ends up on the ground, at best for Michigan, you are looking at a massive loss, maybe a non-offensive touchdown. If McCarthy falls down, the ball is loose, maybe Dallas picks it up. But what you also see here is you got this crosser coming across. You're in pretty good shape against the double pass to the deep guy. But you got this crosser for Michigan here just about in the rows coming across, and Kool-Aid comes up in reaction to this. And so behind him now, you got a soft spot. And again, you're not going to have an inside linebacker run with this. And it's a heck of a play by McCarthy, not only to make the catch on the double pass, but then to make that throw under duress from Dallas Turner. It kind of gives Michigan that boost it needed. And we'll see it again. End of half situations. Look at the clock right now, 4 minutes, second quarter. Think about the clock as we get late in the fourth quarter. End of halves for Alabama defensively, really team wise, not what it needed to be on Monday. So 3rd and 10 for Michigan here inside the Alabama 40-yard line. Here's the crosser. You hit it off a mesh concept again with the back a part of that. You get a matchup on a wide receiver at full stride against Deontay Lawson. That's not one any inside linebacker is going to win. I'm not sure what Jalen Key was keen here watching it back, but he wasn't in a position to support this. It's one thing to give up even the first down on 3rd and 10 to this, but this can't go for a touchdown because you had guys in the neighborhood to make plays, but the play doesn't get made, and it's a Michigan touchdown. 13-7 Wolverines. Big missed extra point, or at least it was for a long time as Michigan botched the operation on the extra point. So Alabama with an opportunity. Didn't really feel like desperation mode here, but certainly you want to go down and get points of any kind because you're going to get the football coming out to start the third quarter. So for everything that has happened, with the dysfunctionality of this Alabama offense, with the unproductive nature of this Alabama offense, and with the defense giving it up there late in the second quarter, needed to go down, have something positive, just something you could build on from a psyche perspective for your offense. This is a heck of a throw. Maybe would have liked to have seen Jalen with more of this on the move to his right, especially, but some play action there off of zone to Jace, and Jalen on the move to his right. This is a beauty of a ball to Isaiah Bond, who makes a heck of a grab on the Michigan sideline. Watch this again. This is layered up because that corner is getting high-lowed a little bit, and he still is in pretty good shape. Jalen feathers it in there and makes the catch with 1 foot down. And watch this too now. Before the catch, he gets a little push right here in the back and is still able to maintain concentration and finish that play for a first down. Alabama just not explosive at all in the passing game Monday. I talked about this on Instant Analysis after the game. First game this season, Jalen Milroe finished sub 8 yards per attempt, and it wasn't even close. It was 5 yards per attempt for Milroe in the passing game against the Wolverines. So here you go. You're going to bring Oots across the formation, has a little split zone feel to it. Jalen wants to take a deep shot, but Michigan pretty much defensively, and this is an area, again, that we talked about throughout the season, out around midfield, 1st and 10. If offenses are going to take a shot, this is typically where it's at. But Michigan pretty much stayed in some back end looks that begged Alabama to run the football. But Alabama's going to take a shot anyway here. And again, you see, you've got plenty of room here because Michigan is not going to give up the deep shot here. They are not going to let these Alabama wide receivers get on the toes of their corners and safety. So you've got a back actually coming out here in good shape to help you, but going to go deep and what is essentially kind of a 2-man route, I guess 3 if you include the back late, but Jermaine trying to run a stutter and go against Michigan's best corner. And again, eyes into the backfield, not going to take the bait there. Um, and not going to give up the deep ball, leveraging Jermaine to the outside. Jalen isn't able to keep the ball on the field. And so it's a long incompletion. So again, look at this. Look at this back end for Michigan. Look where the linebackers are at. Linebackers are 4.5, 5 yards off the ball, inside backers. That's a 6-man box, right? What's that telling you to do? That's telling you to run it, even on 3rd and 4. And so that's what Alabama does here. Alabama with the give, good stuff from Dupree with the down block, kick out here. There you see, I believe it's Jalen Hale getting a hat on somebody. And once again, watch 19, watch Kendrick Law right here. This is a linebacker type for Michigan. And watch Kendrick. This is why you can do these things with him in 11 personnel or 12 personnel that makes it seem like it's 12 or even 21. He is just a physical dude. He is like a basketball player right now. And the hope is in 2024, he becomes more of a box score guy. But for now, anyway, how he's used and what he brings in terms of physicality, he's like one of these guys that don't show up in the box score a lot, but impact things a great deal throughout the course of the game. And sometimes it takes watching the game a couple of times to figure that out. So Alabama now, after a penalty, it's going to be a 1st and 15. And once again, want to take a shot here. And you get a look where you feel like you got Kendrick Law on a safety. Again, though, the problem is look how deep this Michigan safety is. And this was the case throughout the game again. So it's going to be tough to hit that. And maybe in 2024, Kendrick Law's back and Jalen Milroe's back, and you get that kind of look and you kind of turn it into a deep over where he kind of squares that off underneath and tries to hit it that way. But Jalen going to throw this towards the cone, and Michigan in good shape. Once again, the explosive plays in the passing game, something Michigan was very intent on taking away. And again, look at this. Look at the back end. Look at this safety back here. 2nd and 15 now for the Alabama offense. You bring Kobe Prentice across the formation. Jalen off play action, going to be decisive here and go get it. Just play football, go get 17 yards, move the chains. Needed to happen right there. And now you're looking at a 3rd and 3 late in the second quarter. And this is another situation where off of one of your edges, you got some funky math and it just didn't get figured out well enough in pass protection. You can already see J.C. Latham. He is fanned out. You know, he is straddling. He's got both hands out. He knows he's got a guy inside. He knows he's got a guy outside. Tyler Booker is helping down. And so you're going to get free runners. And I think Jermaine here wants to go into the left boundary. Excuse me. Jalen wants to go to Jermaine into the left boundary. Jermaine's in the slot up there. But you look at the back again, releasing to the flat. You got some corners that look like, eyes to the quarterback here. And you're not going to get it to the flat, and you're not going to get the protection you need to even get the football into the boundary to Jermaine Burton. And it's another sack. And it feels like a big one because, again, you're in pretty makeable field goal range. This can't happen. And it happened a couple times in the game. But watch when, Michigan really didn't care if Alabama motioned the back out. Yeah, sent a guy out there, but then replaced him, right? Replaced him with this guy. So if they're not going to trade it and they're going to bring this guy, you'd love to get this guy the football on this guy in space, wouldn't you? But Jalen's looking left off the snap, and you can see here he's wanting Jermaine on that quick breaker, and I think he's got him for a first down. But it happened so quickly that Milroe's going to go down with a sack. 1 of 5, the 5th of the first half for the Michigan defense. Here comes Will Reichard, one of Alabama's MVPs, no doubt about that, in the Rose Bowl. This is from 50 off the left hash. We've talked about it in the past. Kickers love that left hash. Most of them do. Can kind of set it up to that right upright and really take a big swing at it. And that would have fit into a thimble if that was the target goal for Will Reichard. A beauty from 50 yards out. So there you go. Alabama now goes into the half at 13-10, less than 100 yards of offense, getting the football to come out to start the third quarter. Absolutely great position. Chance to go in, make some changes, some adjustments on both offense and defense. Something Alabama just did not do well on special teams. Really, the only thing Alabama didn't do well on special teams in this game. Did not return kickoffs. It was tough on Kendrick Law. It looked like he thought this was a return right, but when you look at his blocking here, it doesn't look like it's going to happen out there. And he runs into a lot of interference and doesn't get out to the 15-yard line. I guess he gets out about the 14. So now Alabama looking at a 2nd and 8 from its own 16. This is 12 personnel. How about Justice Haynes early? And actually, Alabama opened this possession with Jam Miller and Justice Haynes in the backfield together. On 2nd and 8, you've just got Justice Haynes out there and going to establish the run game. Split zone action, nice patience there by Justice Haynes. I'll tell you what helps too when you get kickouts like this from Caden Proctor and you really don't have first contact. I know some people after the game, even during the game, boy, Michigan's defensive line just dominated Alabama's offensive line. I didn't really see it that way. You know, in the second half, Alabama ran for over 120 yards, ran for 162 in the game, and that's with 6 sacks. So good 2nd and 8 run. Again, Michigan, with the way it was playing, kind of begging Alabama to do this. Again, split zone. Justice checks it inside. Watch 74 right here on Little Sanistrill. No, you're not getting there, pal. Good stuff from Tyler Booker right here. Seth McLaughlin getting up to the 2nd level. And there's Haynes finishing that run after contact for a first down. Now 2nd and 10. And this was a spot maybe in the first half where Alabama would have gotten a little bit impatient. But on 2nd and 10, again, Michigan kind of asking for you to run the football. So Alabama does just that. Good stuff by CJ Dupree, softening that edge. Malik Benson, watch Dupree and Oots inserting there. It's not there inside. I think that's where this was maybe going to go. But Justice sets it up nicely, and that's good stuff from CJ Dupree. You get enough from Malik Benson out here on the edge to allow for another 5 yards or go. So you're cooking. You're cooking right now, down 3 early in the third quarter. You know, I think Justice lost his shoe on one of those previous runs. So Jace comes back in. Again, look how you're taking care of business up front. And then Jace, with that ability to work laterally, uses this offhand on Sanistrill, is able to turn the corner. That's a different looking Jace McClellan, isn't it, than what we saw, especially over the second half of the regular season. So 1st and 10 now, inside Michigan territory. You've got 12 personnel, 2 wide receivers on the field. You bring Kendrick Law in motion, and here comes the ground ball snap. Drive killers, right? And in some instances, some cases, an argument could be made, season killers when they get to this point. 14 games into the season, and something Alabama just never could quite get figured out were the shotgun snap issues. This one is a hot, low ground ball. Jalen's not really expecting it. You've got, I think, a chance here. When you watch the offensive line action, you're pulling Tyler Booker from the left guard position. If you're able to hand that ball, CJ Dupree's doing a nice job. You got Oots there, but we'll never know because it's 2nd and 23. So guess what? On the very next snap, you got Jalen unable to field a lowish snap, but this is one Jalen's got to take care of. It's not perfect. I get it. And you're trying so hard to make the timing work with everything else if you're Jalen Milroe here. But this is another massive loss. And again, a couple instances where Alabama could have straight up lost the football. In a game in which James Burnip is maybe one of your biggest weapons, that is not what you wanted to do. If nothing else, get on these footballs and give Burnip a chance to punt it. Your defense is really starting to find its legs, but it's still, and I probably could run that back a little bit because I wanted to talk about this too. Just the technique involved. For Seth McLaughlin, you see how he's kind of got it gripped like the traditional shotgun snap that would come back like a spiral, but it seems like he's still intent on snapping it more in a knuckling trajectory. And there is something called a dead snap. And a dead snap on a shotgun snap, you've probably seen it. You'll see centers take the back end of the football and then stick the nose of the football, the front end of the football, really into the ground with the back end, with the back tip up in their snapping hand. And they'll just shoot it back and it'll be more end over end. I don't know if quarterbacks like that as much because they're not able to perhaps get their grip on the ball like they would initially. But it seems to be about the safest approach to shotgun snaps. And maybe it's something Alabama's tried throughout the season, whatever. It has just not worked. And there again, another negative play, another fumble, technically for Alabama as well. But James Burnip comes in, man. What a great job by the Aussie, the junior. You know, he had been a little bit inconsistent coming into this. He wasn't inconsistent in this game. And this return man for Michigan at this point is rat trap. You got guys down there covering it like Emmanuel Henderson and Kendrick Law. So now you got Michigan backed up. Now you got Michigan at its own 11-yard line. You've got the Alabama defense in heavy nickel, and it's big nickel. Michigan wants to run the football between the tackles. You do a nice job up front, taking care of gaps, and it's a very limited gain for Blake Corum. Michigan is off the field again. Alabama offensively is on the field again with an opportunity in good field position. This is a keep from Jalen Milroe. He's going to be able to get the edge. And this is due in part because of what you've been able to do with your backs early in the third quarter in the run game. Now you're starting to influence the Michigan defense with the run action. Watch to the left side of Alabama's offensive line. See how everybody's slanting pretty much to the right. Little bit of a loop there from Jaden Roberts at right guard to pick up that edge. But look at these Michigan defenders now respecting that ball action to the back. And that really helps Jalen working to the field, get out here and pick up 8 or 9 yards. So now you got a 2nd and 1 for the Crimson Tide. Jalen once again in the shotgun. Going to give to Justice Haynes one more time. Good stuff up front. There you see, once again, Kendrick Law working against a bigger dude, helps Justice Haynes get to the corner. He's going to step out of bounds. So you got a 2nd and 1 that turns into a 1st and 10. The Crimson Tide now inside the Michigan 40 at the 38. It's 12 personnel with Dupree on the ball and Oots off of it. Play action to Justice Haynes. This is good stuff from Jalen Milroe because you've got a Josh Chapman lookalike running free at your quarterback if you're Alabama right now. 99 for Michigan gets a win. It looked like against Tyler Booker, not knowing the blocking schemes. You got to be careful with some of that sometimes. But Jalen does what he has to do. Watch it right here. You'll see Tyler. It looks like he's thinking he's going to help with this guy, but then you've got 99 coming through a gap. And he's pretty free. Yeah, right there. You see it. And Jalen dances around it, able to get up into the pocket and go get it in the middle of that Michigan defense for an Alabama first down. We get into the fourth quarter. Unfortunately for Alabama, you get another penalty that puts you behind the chain. So now you're looking at 2nd and 15. But this is interesting stuff right here. Watch this. See what you got here? You're unbalanced right here. You've got Caden Proctor out here as essentially your tight end next to J.C. Latham. You've got one of your tight ends, I believe that's Oots maybe, next to Tyler Booker. And so you're going to run right. There's no doubt about that into the boundary. And Jalen doesn't waste a lot of time with sort of a 2-back set. You see it off of the zone look. You bring around Tyler Booker from left guard. Look at what he's doing right here. Then you come inside. This is essentially GH counter with the quarterback. And then you bring in Oots, and he gets his guy right there in the middle of the defense. Now you got Jalen full steam running into a DB, and that's going to set up a 1st and goal for the Crimson Tide. Watch it again. Watch Tyler Booker come around from left guard. Watch Oots come right behind him. That's counter action with the quarterback into the boundary. You've got unbalanced to the right. So Booker's doing his thing on the kick out. Caden Proctor's winning. I believe that's JC right there winning. Watch what Oots does right here in front of Jalen Milroe. This is pretty right there. That's textbook stuff. So yeah, it wasn't all about Michigan dominating Alabama's offensive line. If that's the way you came away from this game, and again, give Michigan a lot of credit, especially in the first half, but you must not have watched much of the second half if you didn't see this. If you watched the second half, you might be asking, why wasn't there even more of this from Alabama in the second half? So Alabama, after that explosive run by Jalen Milroe, is going to go fast here, going to go with some tempo. Michigan struggling to get lined up, but you know what Alabama does? Stays in that unbalance. Still got Caden Proctor here, got the tight end off the ball, got a tight end on the ball alongside Tyler Booker, and you just hand it to the back. Jace with that lateral movement, moving so easily, and you got people diving at air. Jace into the end zone. Alabama into the lead at 17-13. So the Crimson Tide defense, everything is working right now. Offensively, you are dominating up front. You are running the football. You are imposing your will. You are setting the stage for a classic closeout. And here you've got Michigan on a 1st and 10. This is 12 personnel. You got one of the H-back tight ends in the backfield. And you want to run Blake Corum into the boundary. This is good stuff by Dallas Turner. He sets a nice edge right here. Going to keep that to a very minimal gain. And keep this in mind coming up in the latter stages of the fourth quarter, because I don't think Alabama does as good a job of this on a JJ McCarthy to sign run. Watch Dallas right here on 77. Good job. Keeps that outside shoulder free. You've got it stuffed. Tim Smith destroys the puller. The tackle there, 73, and that's a stuff. That's what you like to see if you're an Alabama fan, taking care of business up there. We'll see here in a minute, right here actually, on 2nd and 9. I don't know if I've seen this all year from the Alabama defense, at least in something other than goal line short yardage, but it is necessitated by Michigan has 6 offensive linemen on the field here. They have an extra offensive lineman at the left tight end at this spot right here. So Alabama's actually got 1, 2, 3, 4 defensive linemen, 1, 2, 3, 4 linebackers on the field together. So you've got your 2 corners and a safety back here. I guess that's Malachi in that look, in the deep safety. And you still, with all of these offensive linemen, look at this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You still try to account for Justin Aboigbe with an H-back. And Justin is going to win that, and he's going to get a shot on J.J. McCarthy to force that incompletion on 2nd and 9. See, look at this right here. Look at this box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 tight ends. That's 8 dudes right there. 9. You got a running back and a wide receiver. So it is pretty much a 1, maybe 2-man route with a lot of protection here. And watch Justin Aboigbe try to slide in with this H. Justin's going to take care of business there and still be able to get a hit. Alabama, though, for the most part, just not able to generate a ton. I give Michigan some credit for that. It wasn't like McCarthy just stood back there and held on the football. He got the football out. They also moved him around a little bit. But Alabama with just 1 tackle for loss in the game. Big differential between Michigan's TFLs and sacks and what Alabama produced in Monday's game. So Michigan going to punt the football, and one of the bigger plays of the game, certainly at the time. Watch Caleb Downs right here directing traffic. You got Antonio Kite. He's trying to do his job. I'm not going to get on to him too much. And that's a tough punt because it's so bad it might be great. Kind of like James Burnip's on the muff. But that ball's going to go off of Antonio Kite. Caleb Downs pretty much anticipating that possibility. Watch him right here. Sanistrill thinks he's got a loose ball for Michigan. But it's Caleb Downs that comes up with it, saving a possession for the Alabama offense. 21 personnel. There's those two backs in the game again. Jam Miller motioning out to the left. Jalen is going to keep it here, and he does a nice job initially of beating the blitzer off the edge. And now this brings to mind the sort of basketball analogy that we've heard Nick Saban talk about. You've got Jam Miller again. It seemed like whenever Alabama motioned out a back, Michigan kind of laughed at it. So you could have swung it out there, and I get you're trying to take care of the football. You don't want to be too crazy, but Jalen again, the footing just seemed a little anxious, a little indecisive at times too. Um, and that precipitates everything right here because he can't protect the football properly as a result of that. And there's the forced fumble. And it looks like right here, Isaiah Bond is going to maybe get in there and win it, but he's not able to. And that feels like the break Michigan needed because offensively, they were getting it handed to them. And this gives them the opportunity from midfield. And if you're Alabama, you're thinking, hey, midfield, sudden change, maybe a shot is coming from this Michigan offense. Not really what Michigan does offensively, though. And there again, you see the quick ball out to the flat, and that came off of some motion. It was similar to the touchdown that Auburn hit against Alabama with, is it Johnson? The kid from Hewitt Trustful, the wide receiver who came in motion and then essentially just ran down the sideline. And Malachi and Kool-Aid, I don't think communicated that well, and it went for an easy touchdown. This is similar to that because it looks like one guy is anticipating maybe manning it up, and another one is anticipating something else. And you'll see Kool-Aid's reaction right here. But this is very similar to what Auburn did for the touchdown. And once this receiver sees Kool-Aid sinking here in the depth, Georgia actually drew this up, dialed this up too, I think, trying to get that shot down the field off of it. But instead, because of the depth of the Alabama secondary, they pretty much hitched it up and turned it into a pretty big yards after catch. Yards after catch killed Alabama defensively in this game against Michigan. So to its credit, though, the Alabama defense gets off the field. Michigan misses a long field goal. And now you're at the point with under 10 minutes to go where you're thinking this is where a national championship team goes down and steps on the other team's neck. So it's 2nd and 6 for Alabama from its own 35. Jalen on the give to Jace. Jace doing a nice job of making that free runner 25 miss. There's Kendrick Law again, blocking on the edge. Look at him locked up. More good footwork from Jace. Now you've got a Michigan safety going for the football. Jace runs through that. And here is an explosive play for the Crimson Tide. Watch it one more time because they want to run duo. I believe this is duo. This isn't zone. This isn't split zone. See the doubles? Trying to get these doubles. And this linebacker, and we're going to see it later too. This linebacker just says, to heck with it. I'm shooting the gap. I'm coming downhill. See him come? And by the time, I guess that is Caden, he can't get off that double to reach that guy, but Jace makes it good with some great footwork and then finishes that run with strength. If that was Jace McClellan's last game at Alabama, he put some damn good pro tape out there against a defense thought to be one of the very best in college football. So now 3rd and 3. And again, look at Michigan on the back end. Boy, they're still in this mode of we just don't want to give up the explosive. Look at this guy in the middle of the field. And this is a sub package. Is this dime? I think it might be dime. Yeah, I think there's 6 defensive backs out there and they're playing this. So if you're Alabama, you still can run the football like you did with Jace earlier. Bring Kendrick across the formation, and you get this going with some pin and pull here. Watch Jermaine Burton and CJ Dupree here looking to block down, and then you got JC going to wrap around out here to the edge with Kendrick Law. And there's not a lot of big blocks on this play, but just enough for Jamar to be able to cut it up right here. Kendrick didn't get much at 2, But Jamar is still a strong runner, and he makes that cut. He doesn't hesitate. He goes and gets it. Still got JC out in front, and that feels like a really big third down conversion. Watch it again. See Kendrick and Jace pulling out. You had Jermaine try to pin zero, got him on the ground somehow, some way, and then the arm tackle's not going to do it against 26. That's a first down, and you're thinking, boy, this is feeling like Alabama's going to go down here, get in the end zone at 24-13, and that is absolutely not where Michigan wanted to be. But then you get this. Before the next snap, you get called for 12 players in the formation, coming off a huge third down. So, what did Michigan really need in this particular situation? They needed help, and they get it. So now it's 1st and 15. You end up behind the sticks. You're in 3rd and 9. Michigan's still playing kind of off here, but you know they're going to bring 6. And not just because they're trying to get off the field. They're thinking, you know what? If we can get him to hold the football, we can get a sack back to the 34, 35. Now they're looking at, do they even attempt the field goal from 52, 53? So you have to know that the pressure's coming. And here you've got hot. You've got Amari Niblack right in the middle of the field. Now, I don't know if he gets the first down after the catch because I can't see. You can see him calling for the ball. But the pressure has already affected Jalen in a way that he's going to take care of the football. Watch Niblack right there, top right corner. See him releasing? And you've got 6 in, but Michigan bringing 6. Jay's trying to get up top to protect, but Jalen's already pulled his eyes down. So you're not going to get the ball to the hot there. It's going to go for a sack. One thing Jalen did right there, you see him, he's fighting to go as far forward as he can to try to save as much yardage as he can to help Will Reichard out. But I don't know if Will needed much help on this one. This was nutted. Watch this strike. Boom. Man, I wish I could draw it like that in golf. Just a nice little 3-yard draw inside that right upright. And so it wasn't step on Michigan's neck because that's what a touchdown would have represented. But with the way the defense is playing, you're up 7. Michigan's got to go get in the end zone. The Wolverines are in a 3rd and 2 here. And Alabama defensively plays this really well because you're anticipating a couple of things. This guy off the ball is in play. This back is in play to the field. This guy you're not worried about as much motioning across the formation. Alabama's got this thing played from the start. Justin Aboigbe with leverage on McCarthy, not going to let him get outside. Deontay in good shape because Loveland is a guy that they love to get it to right here. Malachi takes Corum out of the backfield. Key's okay against Barner. The concern I would have had there is if McCarthy would have had enough time to kind of set up and throw like a corner route to him. But Aboigbe is not only maintaining leverage, he's getting pressure. And so the ball's actually tipped up into the air. And you talk about how games come down to bounces. Watch this one, because this could have gone for an interception a couple different ways. Look at Jahad Campbell right here. See, about 1.5 yards short of being able to end that game right there. So now you get in 4th and 2. And I wasn't surprised that Harbaugh went for this. You haven't been able to stop the run game. I mean, I guess you could have looked at it and said, look, we can keep counting on Alabama's offense to shoot themselves in the foot, bad snaps, procedural issues, pre-snap issues. But typically football coaches, when they have an opportunity to control their fate, they're going to do it. They're going to go for it. And so 4th and 2 here, Alabama going to bring some pressure. And as a result, you got Deontay Lawson up in here initially. Well, this is similar to the play Corum scored on earlier. See these guys washing across here from this side of the formation? They all cave down here. The difference is Corum actually started to this side of McCarthy. So McCarthy didn't have to wait for him to clear even. He just ran straight to the flat. And when he did, look at these two guys on this one guy, which tells you what? one of these guys is probably supposed to have this guy because you're running trying to run across the field with six. And this is what six did on Corum's touchdown earlier. He was the trailer. But Corum is just unaccounted for. It's a bust. And he's going to catch it easily. And now it's not just that Corum converts the 4th and 2, it's that he gets Michigan out near the 50-yard line. You'll see it again right here. Watch this. See those 3 guys to the right side of the formation? They're going to work back left. Then you got 2 on 1 right here, which means you got 1 on none out here because Deontay's up in here, your linebacker. So you got no accountability for the back on a play that he scored on, essentially, a little bit different. Earlier, Michigan worked it, from left to right. This time they worked it from right to left, I guess you could say. But Corum's going to catch this. And there you see Terrian. He's carrying this receiver down the field. Roman Wilson, he gets blocked in the back. So pretty blatant right there. Yeah. So it's a block in the back, but even with that, it's a spot foul. So it's a first down still. Michigan's going to have the football at the 50. And this is sort of that GT counter work that we talked about earlier that Alabama did a good job on against Corum earlier in the 4th quarter. This time, you'll see Dallas Turner off this edge up here. Probably gets a little too far up the field, runs himself out of it a little bit. This guard that's pulling, he doesn't really have to get much of Dallas. He gets enough, though. Gets a little bit of a push on him. And now, see, Dallas kind of in no man's land. Doesn't really slam the door there into the boundary. And then this tackle comes around, takes care of business. And now you've got a tight end that's 6'5", 6'6" on one of your corners at the edge. And then Key just trying to hold on here. And there goes McCarthy as you're trying to get off blocks. Loveland does a good job not holding there in front of the Alabama bench. And it's an explosive play. So, a team that really isn't built on explosive plays when it mattered the most Monday hit Alabama for some. And it wasn't anything extravagant. It's pretty simple football, but you've got to execute on the defensive side. And Alabama didn't do that at the most important time of the football game. So, now you get into this situation. This is, again, another illustration where you can be right and be wrong. Lawson right here, as we see, gets a finger on the football. And right now you're thinking Malachi Moore, I'm sure he's thinking, that ball's been altered trajectory-wise. I'm going to make a pick right here. Roman Wilson with just a heck of a grab. You got to give the guy credit. And the problem for Alabama is he makes it on the run. So it's not a play where he makes the catch and stops or has to stop. He's full stride when he hits the ground. Makes one move there on Caleb Downs. I think Caleb's probably a little shocked. He's anticipating, like Malachi, perhaps this is where I'm going to make the pick that ends the game. But 2 Alabama guys there, but it's the Michigan guy that comes up with the football. And again, doesn't just catch it after the catch. He's able to beat Downs to the edge and set up the Wolverines with a 1st and goal. And so on 1st down, Michigan runs Corum. And the guys had 42 rushing touchdowns coming into this game in the last 2 seasons. So if you're the Alabama defense, you're very much anticipating that. So on 2nd down, you're probably, or I would think you're thinking, all right, if they're not going to run it to Corum here, this is going to be it. They're going to run it off Corum action, and that's what they do. Kind of an outside zone or a split zone look. And when Wilson is lined up on the hip of a tackle, it's kind of like Amari Cooper with Lane Kiffin. Remember those plays, these things with Amari and Blake Sims back in 2014, these easy touches. You get that action going to Corum down here. Look at these guys. Look at this. Aboigbe's caving down on the back. Really, McCarthy probably could have kept it himself. You got Kool-Aid who goes man coverage here, so his back's to the edge. He's not in the play. Just an easy toss there to Wilson for the touchdown. And here we are. We'll show it one more time. See Wilson lined up here. That's got to be an indicator that, he's not. The thing that puts you in a little bit of a bind is with his ability, he can work that flat route to the field too. But as soon as he crosses the formation, you kind of know what's coming at that point. Yep. Run action, hard pursuit, decorum, and Jihad Campbell and Jalen Key. I'm not sure. One of these two guys has got to have the back here, I would think. Now, pre snap, you saw Kool-Aid. It looked like he was checking to see, are we going to trade this off potentially? But the thing was, Wilson wasn't in motion, to kind of lead to you making that call. He didn't come across the formation until after the snap. Regardless, it's a touchdown. We'll see it one more time. Aboigbe goes down with the back. McCarthy's clean. 6 and 30 inside, 1 to the pylon, and we're going to go to the latter stages of regulation. Alabama in a 3rd and 10 here with the football, not able to do anything with it. And Michigan basically gets Jalen to get it down to the check down here by bringing some pressure. But as you can see, they're not in straight up press coverage. This corner's already eyeballing this back here and anticipating the pressure affecting Jalen or getting there. He's going to come up and make this tackle on the back in the flat. Michigan wanted the ball to go there. Look at this. See how they're playing the sticks? Easy tackle. That's good defense by Michigan. Give Michigan credit for that. Maybe one of the craziest game plays in college football history had a chance to occur right here. I don't know if the new return guy for Michigan is kin to a significant financial donor for the University of Michigan. And I know Michigan felt like, look, we got a couple timeouts, 49 seconds. We can maybe go down, get a field goal, although the field goal operation had been a disaster for Michigan at this point. But Burnip with another bomb. You got a new punt returner in the game who decides he's going to field this thing inside not only the 10, but pretty much at the 5. Does so miserably. And right here, I'm thinking this is either an Alabama touchdown potentially or a safety, because look at Kendrick Law. If you've got one guy on your punt coverage unit that you want striking this guy at the half-yard line in this spot, it's probably Kendrick Law, and he destroys Thal. Ball doesn't come out, though. Give the kid credit, because if it had come out, I don't think he could have gone back to Ann Arbor anytime soon. But it's huge because he maintains possession. We go to overtime, and it's Blake Corum time after an 8-yard run on first down. Here's what makes this one particularly painful to me is that Alabama's actually in its base defense. Look at this. 3 down linemen, your 2 edges. And then you've also got your 2 inside linebackers. So you're pretty well equipped for this. I guess, is this 13? Yeah, I mean, it's big personnel from Michigan, so you need to be in this. And, just going to run kind of got a puller here out in front of Corum. You got 2 guys in a gap, it looks like right here. So as soon as he gets here, the puller now is clean to the second level. You got the kick out here. So Corum's in great shape, but you got to make a tackle right here. Look at all these guys. You got 5 guys. Somebody's got to make a tackle short of the goal line. Doesn't happen. Corum into the end zone. Michigan into the lead. So Alabama football now in the bottom of the overtime frame. Going to run that sort of GH counter back into the boundary again with Jalen. It's going to work like a charm one more time. Now, watching this in real time, I'm thinking, does Michigan have 11 players on the field? Because from the sideline camera view on the broadcast, this safety 9 was so deep on this play, I couldn't see him in the frame. He was out of the frame. But when you watch it from this rear view, it works out great for Michigan, because if he's not back there, I don't know if Jalen doesn't score here. But because he's deep, you see Jaden Roberts right there, he thinks it's a touchdown. But the safety was so deep, and it's a hell of a tackle. In a lot of ways, it helped decide the game. And so now, instead of a touchdown, you're playing first and goal from the 9. And once again, as we roll it here, snap, hot and high. Jalen's able to corral it. This looks like it's going to be duo again. See the double teams? And see how we talked earlier about this linebacker just shooting this? And Jace earlier was able to make him miss and turn it into a big play. That's not the case this time. He gets up under it. You can see Tyler's eyes right now. Jace tries to make him miss. He can't do it. You got leverage there in that gap against CJ Dupree. And so nothing happening there on first down. You get the second down. Going to try to run unbalanced again. Kind of the play pretty much that Alabama scored on with Jace off tempo with the unbalanced line. You try to run it to the right again, and 55 for Michigan. He sniffs this out. See this? See how you got Caden Proctor over here with J.C. Latham and Jaden Roberts and Seth McLaughlin? You got Robbie Oots next to Tyler Booker. 55 says, I'm going to shoot this gap and try to keep this from getting going. Because if it does, it's probably going to work out well for Jace McClellan and the Alabama offense. But watch him shoot this inside here. Tyler can't get to the reach. 55 blows this up. So now you're in, you got some serious problems as you see it one more time. Maybe in a year, you keep off of that. But just as far as pre-snap, if you've got 55 in that gap, that's going to be a tough block for Tyler, especially if that guy's getting upfield. And so that's the code breaker to that play, is if that backside tackle is in that gap and is getting upfield and you don't get to that reach, it doesn't matter who or how many you have to the right. It's not going to happen. 3rd and goal now. Jalen going to drop back and throw it here. Jermaine able to run off coverage, make the catch. I hated this for Jermaine. He's trying to fight and do what he can. That's just ugly. It's not a pretty situation at all. You just hope that it's not significant at the time while you're watching it, but you give Jermaine a lot of credit. I mean, he's fighting, doing everything he can to try to get in the end zone there, and that sets up a 4th and goal from the Michigan 3. You had those timeouts. You heard Nick Saban talk about it after the game, that he felt like Alabama initially was in a good look. Michigan knew it. Michigan called timeout. Alabama goes back out there. And before this, Alabama was back in that unbalanced. Before Alabama called timeout, before this play, they were lined up with Caden Proctor on the other side again with J.C. Latham. And Alabama called the timeout. So now they come back to, more of a balanced formation. I mean, this is straight up 11 personnel. And going to pull Jaden Roberts. Kind of the problem with this, too, is that it feels like you're a tight end short for this. Because if you can pull Jaden and maybe get the kick out here, Jalen's got more room to work with. But the snap, again, is problematic. And I think it leads to perhaps some panic. And Jalen's feeling like, I just got to get this thing up between the tackles, when his best chance on this play anyway is if he probably stays with Jaden, the puller. He doesn't. He runs it right up the A gap. It's an easy stuff for the Michigan defense. And again, as we'll watch it, I think, one more time, you see the back motion out. This middle linebacker is kind of like, yeah. So there's really not much accountability if you wanted to swing it to the flat. It's not clean from the snap. And you got a crasher here coming across Dupree's face. So kind of does the job for Dupree a little bit. You see Roberts pulling around here. You want to get this linebacker out of here, because then if you can get Jaden out here and get the kick out or get the lead, see how he's pulling around? You got to get in there tight. Michigan's got it pretty well played. I think that a lot of folks would have liked to seen Jalen in more of a run pass option. I think maybe one of the issues Alabama had here, though, was the hash mark. I think you want Jalen moving right in that scenario to the field, to the wide side of the field if you do that. And unfortunately, or perhaps it didn't matter, Alabama's into the boundary, you're on the short side. You kind of lose some of that if you roll to the edge there with Jalen. But that's the way it ends. Michigan 27, Alabama 20. Crimson Tide finishes at 12-2, a ultra successful season by any measure. We're thankful that you have joined us right there at BamaOnLine.com throughout the season. I know we've got a lot of comments in here, a lot of them which we will not get to, I don't think, today. But we appreciate the participation. We appreciate you checking in. And the roundtable there at BamaOnLine.com is certainly where you need to hang out with us as well. Tim Watts, Andrew Bone, Joseph Hastings, we're going to have you covered, whether it's recruiting, whether it's team, a lot of stuff to come between all those things, the transfer portal, NFL decisions. Going to be a newsy few days, one would think, for sure. Travis Reier, thanking you once again for joining us here on Second Watch. Please subscribe to our YouTube page if you haven't already. Simple as a click. Turn on those notifications. You'll get all of our video content as it drops. Big stuff on the way at BamaOnline.com. Big stuff on the way for Alabama football. Still a lot of positive things to look forward to. Still a championship season for the Crimson Tide, and we look forward to bringing more of it to you at BamaOnline.com. Thanks again. Until next time, so long, everybody.